Hey everyone, it's Kabir here. So in last session we saw some properties of CSS, like we come to know the background, how can we give a background in different ways, how can we do some editing or styling in border as well. So today we are going to understand the concept of margin, padding and text formatting in CSS. In HTML, we saw some tags for text formatting. Like if I want to make something like a bold, then we have a B tag. If I want to make some letter or a word or a sentence in italic format, for that we have a I. We can use some superset, subset, all that formattings we can do using HTML tags. But there are few more requirements where our HTML doesn't provide some support. For example, if you want to keep some text in capital letter or in capitalized format, so the capitalized format is nothing but every word first letter should be capital, that we call a capitalized format. Whereas such kind of editing is not possible in HTML, so we go for the CSS text formatting. So we'll be seeing what are the text formatting features in CSS as well. So one thing I wanted to say you guys that so don't, like, whenever you're listening this class, try to use the headphones so that the voice will be very clear for you guys. Okay, that would be just a suggestion from my side. So let's begin today's session. So before beginning the session, who are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe the channel so that you can get notification for every video. Okay guys, so let's start with margin and understand that margin and padding are very important concepts in CSS. You have to understand in and out. Little bit it's a confusion, but once if you try and practice little bit, it should be very easy for you guys. So let's focus on margin. So what is the margin? So let us understand, we have a div. Consider this is a div. Okay, now this div is present inside our body, right? So let's consider it is our body. Now this is our body tag. Inside body tag we are displaying one element called div element and we give some border. Okay, now let's give some names to this. So I'm gonna say it would be the body, and this will be something like div. Okay, right. Now you are seeing some space, right? Here we have some space, here we have space, here we have space, means the space outside of your element border. Now div element is there, right? So for div element, this is the border. So the outside of this border, this space is called your margin. Okay, and the space inside your border, now this is the border, right? So the space inside this border is called your padding. So you have to understand these two concepts. The first concept what you need to understand is margin. So what is margin? Margin is nothing but the space outside of your element. Now this is your div element, so outside of this element is this part. This space is called margin for this particular element, div element. And the next, what I told, what is padding? Padding is nothing but the space inside your element. Now this is your element, right? This is the boundary, so this inside space is called the padding. Now I want to give some space, like for example, I'm displaying my div here. Now I want some space outside in left, I mean to say in the left side I need some space. Okay, now for that we are going to give a property called margin. Now I want some space inside, then for that we are giving a property called padding. The most important thing what you guys have to understand is, now we are saying margin is nothing but the space outside your element, but you should have some reference point from where it is going to take the space, right? That reference point will be the parent of that element. For this div, the parent is body div, right? For this div element, the parent is body element. So the reference point starts with the parent element border. Now this is the parent element border, right? So from here it is going to calculate. So you are saying something like, I want margin of 100 pixels, means you want 100 pixel space. So it will start from here. From here it will start 100 pixel, and it will take, just consider this is your 100 pixels space, right? Now after 100 pixels space, the element is going to start. In the same way, just consider I have one more div inside this div. Now this is my second div. Okay, now for this div, the parent is this outside div. Now suppose I want to give a margin. So what will be the margin? So margin will be nothing but this element's outside space. For this div, the outside space is nothing but this thing, right? This thing is called outside space. Now when I say I want 15 pixel space for this div, then it is not going to consider your body, it is going to consider this div parent. So who will be the this div parent? It will be the outer div parent. So outer div border is nothing but this one. So this one, this particular border is considered as your reference. So from here it will take 50 pixel space, then after 50 pixel space this div will start. Okay, now padding for this div is nothing but this is the boundary, right? So inside this thing is called padding. So this is the concept of margin and padding, and you have to understand this reference point as well, because when you are doing some coding or designing something, this thing will play very crucial. You have to understand these three things. So you have to understand what is margin, what is padding, and what is the reference key. Okay, so let's come to our code and let's try this one. So the one thing you have to understand, we can give the margin from top, bottom, right, left. So what is the meaning of that? For this particular external div, the spacing we can give from the top. This part is called top, this is called left, this part is called bottom, whereas this part is called right part, right? So let's come to the coding. I'm gonna create one more file. So this time I'm gonna say 04 margin.html. Okay, fine. Now how can we create a skeleton of HTML doc tab? Now we got a skeleton of your HTML document. So we are going to remove this unnecessary tags, and here we are going to say margin document, something like that. Okay, now here I want to take one div. Okay, we took the div. Now when I'm going to save and open in the browser, we are not able to see anything because by default your div doesn't have any stylings. So let's give some default styling. So for that we have to use the tag called style. So I have used the tag style. Now I want to give some styling to this div. So instead of taking tag name, I'm going to give one ID to this one. So I'm gonna say D1. Okay, so how can we refer the ID? Using the hash and the ID name div. Okay, fine, we give. What styling I want? I want width. Width I will be taking something like 700 pixel. Okay, now height I want to take 500 pixel, and apart from that I will be taking box shadow, and it would be some 10 pixel, and it should be something like black. I'm gonna save it and comes to your browser. Yeah, now we are able to see a div, right? Now what will be the parent for this div? The parent for this div is the body. So let's give some styling to the body as well. So I'm gonna take body tag, and I will be saying whatever I will be writing in this, it will be color should be white. Okay, fine. Now I want to give some border. So how can we give border, and I'm gonna say something like 5 pixel solid, and it should be black. So when you are going to save it and comes to your browser, if you see, now you got a body, right? This part is called body, and the by default body will have some margins. This is a left, this is some top, bottom, and this is right side. If you don't want this margins, then you have to give a property called margin 0. Okay, let us understand that one. So if I say margin 0 pixel, it means we are applying 0 pixel of margin in all the sides. Okay, so save it. comes to your browser and refresh it. Now you are able to see there is no margins for that. Okay, fine. Now let me give some background color as well. So I'm gonna say background and linear gradient, and I'm gonna say something like 45 degree, and some RGB color, some color like 21, something like anything you can give. Yesterday we saw all this. How can we give a color? I want to give one more combination like orange, red, something. Now you save it, comes to your browser, and you should see some background color. Now I want to give some background color for this div also. So let's copy this thing and come here and just paste it. And instead of this, let me take the color to something like this. And here instead of orange, red, let me give something like blue violent. Save it, comes to your browser. Now this is our div and this is our body. Okay, fine. Now what I want to do, I want to give some margins for this div. Now if you see the output, now we are able to see this div is starting from the left side without having any space. Now I want some 10 pixel space from here or some 100 pixel space from here. So for that we have a property called margin. So let's take a property called margin, and from which side you want? From left side. So give left, and how much you want? 100 pixel. Now you can give the value in pixel or else percentage or else anything, right? So I'm gonna come here and just refresh it. Now you got some space, right? Now this space we got because of the margin property. Now we wrote only left side, margin left. Now I want some space from the top as well. So for that, what we have to do, we have to say margin top. From top I want some 10 pixel. Save it and comes to your browser and refresh. Now you are able to see you got some space from the margin, right? In the same way, if you want to give some space from bottom, you can give from bottom. It will be margin bottom, and from right side if you want to give, you should give margin right. So you can give the values in that way. Now apart from that, now I have one more scenario. Inside this div I want to take one more div. Okay, so I'm going to take one more div and let me give some ID. So we have a shortcut to create a div. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say hash, okay, d2. After writing hash d2, I'm going to click on tab. Now we created a div with the ID d2. This is a shortcut. Okay, now I want to give some stylings to d2 as well. So hash d2. Now I required these 4 properties, right? The same 4 properties. So I'm gonna copy it and paste it, and just I'm gonna change some colors, right? Here I will be saying 143 and it will be 2 and it will be 21. Instead of blue violent, I will be saying something like lime green. Okay, so just save it and comes to your browser and let's see we got. Okay, we got, but let me change the width and height. Now I'm gonna give width to be 500 and height will be 300 pixel. Save it, comes to your browser. Yeah, now this is our div inside. Okay, this is the inside div, and for this div the parent will be this div, and for this div parent will be the body. Now this is our requirement. Now let me change the color of your body. So I don't want it to give any background color, so let's keep it as white. So just I wanted to show that the parent of your div will be body. For that I gave that one. Okay, so just refresh it. Okay, fine. Now you got something like this. Let me remove border as well. Okay, fine. I'm gonna save it and come here. Now border also removed. Okay, fine. Now this is our div, which is the inner div, and the outer div is this div. Now my requirement is I want some space for this div from left side. So what I'm gonna do, simply I'm gonna write margin. I'm gonna write like margin left. So when I'm gonna say margin left, and I'm gonna say something like 50 pixel, come here and just see. Now you got some 50 pixel space. So what I wanted to explain is that for this div, the parent is this div, right? So the reference point will be the its parent. This, for this element, the reference point will be its parent element. So with the parent, this outer div, so it is going to consider this border from here. It is going to give a 50 pixel. Now in same way from top also, if I want, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just say margin top, and I'm gonna say something like 50 pixel. Okay, fine. Now I got, okay, I think I wrote in the D2. Okay, margin top, it's a 50 pixel, height is 30 pixel. Okay, fine. Why we got something like this? This is a height is 500, top margin is 10, so margin top is 50%. So for me, it should be the height, right? This should be the reference point. So for that, to understand that, what we will do, we will use some property called border. So I'm gonna say border, it should be like some 3 pixel solid, and let me make it as a blue violent. And in the same way, I'm gonna give the properties for your next div also. So I'm gonna say border solid, and instead of this, I want to say something like lime green. I'm gonna save it. Now comes to your browser, refresh it. Now you are able to see a div, right? When you gave the border, see, when you didn't give the border, now it is going to consider the body border as a reference points, but we don't want that, so we gave up some border for this. Now I said I want 50 pixel space from the top, so I got 50 pixel space from the top. In the same way, I said I want a 50 pixel space from left side, so I got a 50 pixel space from left side using the margin. Now I want to write some content inside this div. So inside this div, I'm going to write some content. So what I want to write, I want to write something like welcome to ISMART channel. Some content I wrote. Come here and refresh it. Okay, now you got some content like welcome to ISMART channel. Now I want some space. Okay, I want some space inside this div. Now this is the div, right? Now I want some space, like I want some 10 pixel space from left, 10 pixel space from right, and from there I want to start this particular content, welcome to iSmart. So if you want to give space inside an element, for that we have padding. So let's come here and just gonna say padding. I will be saying uh, padding left will be 10 pixel. Now save it and come here and just see. Now we got some space around this text, right? Now one thing what you guys have to understand, observe here, like what width we give for this particular div. The width is 500 pixel, right? The width is 500 pixel. Now when I am telling the padding from left 10 pixel, it means it is generating 10 pixel space more. So now the total width will be 510 pixel. It's not 500 pixel, it will be the 510 pixel because we have added 10 pixel more. You will not find this concept in any tutorial. You have to do it by analyzing it. Okay, you will not find this thing. Now the space is 510. Now just consider I'm going to increase the space. Instead of 10 pixel, I want to increase 100 pixel. Okay, save it. Now just see, you have this one. Now whenever I'm going to refresh, now see the width of your div has been increased. It means in starting it was 500 pixel. Now when you added padding, right, when you added the padding property, like you added the padding left as 100 pixel, now the width will be 500 plus 100, that is a total 600. Now it is increasing your width, means it is adding the 100 pixel, okay, inside your element, and after adding 100 pixel, and the content is starting from here. Now one more thing what you guys have to understand is, here the content is not moving, the content is stick, just we are generating some extra space, that is a padding thing. We are not moving content, content is fixed at that place. We are just adding padding, means we are telling I want some 100 pixel space. After giving 100 pixel space or after adding 100 pixel space, you have to start the content from there. So this thing you have to understand, because this will be little bit confusing. Okay, now just consider I'm going to remove this padding, save it. Now this is right. Now when I refresh, now it comes to back to your 500 pixel. So this thing you guys have to understand. The first thing, what is margin? It is the outer space of element. Now this is the element, so for this element margin will be the outer space, and for this element margin will be the this outer space. What is padding? The space inside the element from his body, so from his border. The padding is nothing but the space inside the element, means from the border it is going to generate some space, and for this element this is the border, right? So padding will be inside this particular element. This thing you guys have to understand. Okay, now whenever you are going to say I want 100 pixel margin, then for every element a reference point will be its parent's border. Now for this element, when you are going to say margin 100 pixel, means that 100 pixels should start from one point, right? That point is nothing but this element's parent's border. So for this element, who is the parent? Body. So the body, okay, now body's border will be the reference point. From here it will count 100 pixel. Now you said for this div I want 100 pixel margin. So for this div, who is the parent? This div. Now this div's border is nothing but this one. So this will be a reference point. From here it will count your 100 pixel space. From here this is a 100 pixel space. This thing you have to understand. The second thing, what is padding? Padding is nothing but a space inside your element. This is the one thing. Second thing, whenever you are going to say some padding, it is going to add that extra space. Now whenever an extra space is added, the width of your element is going to increase. The when width will increase, if you are giving padding on left side or right side, then width will increase. When height will increase, if you are giving padding from top or bottom, the height will increase. Now what is the height? This height is nothing but 300 pixel. Now let's come to our code, and I'm gonna say padding top, its padding top will be 100 pixel. Okay, now we are adding an extra space from the top. So by default, like in the initial your height is 300 pixel. After adding this padding it will be 400 pixel. Now this is your height. After refreshing it, the height will increase, means it is adding some extra space. This space is called padding, and for this space is called margin. These two things you have to analyze, you have to understand, very important guys. Yeah, now this is all about your padding and margin, and few things you have to understand about margin and padding. What? Now just consider I'm giving margin left and some value. Now it is going to consider only left side. Now just suppose if I gave only margin and 100 pixel, when I didn't mention left, right, bottom or top, that time it is, if I give only one value, it is going to consider all the sides. Okay, it is going to consider all the sides and it is going to take the space from all the sides. Means it is going to give a space from left side 100 pixel, from top 100 pixel, from bottom 100 pixel, and from right also 100 pixel. Okay, in the same way padding also, if I give padding only one value and if I set 10 pixel, then it is going to generate extra space, that is nothing but 10 pixel from your left, right, top, bottom. This is the one thing. Now second thing, when I say margin, some 20 pixel and 50 pixel, if I am giving two value, the first value will be your top and bottom. Means it is going to generate space of 20 pixel from top and from the bottom, and from the second value it will generate 50 pixel space from right and left if I give two values. Okay, now if I give the margin 10 pixel space 20 pixel space 30 pixel, then it is going to generate from top 10 pixel, from right 20 pixel, okay, from bottom 30 pixel, and from left also it will generate 20 pixel if I give the three values. The first value will be top, then right, then your bottom, and the fourth value if I give 60 pixel, it will be your left. Means how it is calculating is nothing but your clockwise. The 12, it is nothing but top. Your 3, okay, 3 o'clock, it is nothing but right. 6 o'clock, it is nothing but bottom. Your 9 o'clock, it is nothing but your left. So it is going to count your clockwise from, so first value will be the top. So you have to understand the first value, this will be the top, this will be the your right side, and this will be your bottom, and this will be your left side. If I mention four values, if I mention only three values, then this will be your top. Okay, now this will be your right. As I have mentioned only three values, so it is going to consider right and left as the same 20 pixel, and bottom will be 30 pixel. If I give only two values, the first is top, so we don't have any more than two, so it will consider top and bottom as a first value, and it will consider second value will be your left side and the right side. And if I don't give, like if I give only one value, if I don't give any other value apart from first value, then it is going to consider this value from all the sides. The top will be 100 pixel, your right will be 100 pixel, bottom and left both will be the 100 pixel. So this concept we have to understand. The same thing will be adding for your padding also. Now suppose you want to give automatic, you want to say that browser you adjust the space according to the whatever the space available. So for that what you have to give is nothing but you have to say margin auto. Means you are saying automatically you generate the space. So whenever you are going to use auto, then according to the your available space, your browser is going to adjust all the margins. So this is the one value. So this is all about your margin and your padding. Now let's come and understand about text formatting. Okay, so for that let me take one more file. Now let me change the value of this one, I mean name of the file, from margin underscore padding as well, because we saw both the things in this, right? .html. Okay, fine. Now let me create one more file called 05, and I'm gonna say text formatting. CSS.html. Now let me generate a skeleton of our HTML doc tab. Fine. Now let me remove this one. I'm gonna say it will be like text formatting in CSS. Okay, fine. Now here what I want to do, I want to take one div. So div tab. This is one more shortcut. If you want to generate a tag without any class, any attributes, just type the name of that tag like div and click on tab. So it is generated. Now here I want to generate h2. So just type h2 tab. Now h2 is generated, and here I'm going to say welcome to ISMART channel. Okay, now I want to give some default styles for this one. So let's take the name as a div. What we will be giving, I will be giving some width will be some 300 pixel. I want to give box shadow. So for sorry, we have to write this everything inside a style tag. Style. After that we have to say div, and inside div I want to give some stylings like width. So I will be writing the properties. Width will be 300 pixel. Then after this box shadow will be something like 0 0 some 10 pixel black something. And apart from that, what lets me give some background like it will be linear gradient, some 45-degree, and some RGB. Let me give something like orange red, comma, I want to give something like purple, some color it is going to generate some. Okay, now let's come to our browser and let's see how it is going to look like. Now it is looking like something like this, right? Okay, fine. Let me give some padding as well. So I'm generating some extra space. It will be something like 10 pixel. So we are going to refresh it. Now this is our setting, right? Now apart from that, let me give one more. Color should be white. So we have generated some styling. Okay, now color is white. Now what I wanted to do, I want to increase the width to something like 700. Okay, fine. So that we can do some text formatting. So let's come to our browser and let's see. Yeah, fine. Now what I wanted to do, I want this particular content inside in the center. Okay, in the HTML we have the center tag. In the same way we have a property called text align, and we have to give the value called center. And just save it and comes to your browser, refresh it. Now we got some text inside the your div tag, and that the position of this your text is nothing but the center. In the same way, I don't want it to be in the center, I want it to be in the left side. So for that, what we are going to give the value left. Now save it, comes to here, left, and the by default the styling will be left side only. Now I want it on the right side, so for that we have a value called right. So we can adjust the text according to our requirement, left, center, or right. Now this is the right side. Now this is called text align. So for this styling we have a key called text align. The value will be center, right, or your left one, and by default it will be the left. Okay, now this is called text align. This is the first property. Now we can change the color as well, right? Now already we saw how can we change the color of a text by using a property called text property. Sorry, by using the property called color property. So you can change the color of your text, like instead of white, if I want to give something like yellow, you can give. If I give yellow and I'm going to save it, comes to your browser and just refresh it. Now you are able to see the text in yellow color. Now this one, so I'm going to change it to the center. Yeah, now just consider I want this particular text in capital letter. I want this particular entire text in a capital letter. So for that we have a property called text transform, and the value will be uppercase. When you are going to say uppercase, it is going to generate the content of that particular div or element in uppercase. If you say the value lowercase, it will generate lowercase, and if you say capitalize, then it is going to generate the first word of every letter will be the capital. I mean, the first letter of every word will be the capital. Okay, so let's see this one. So let's come to our code. Now here I want to say text transform. Okay, text transform. Now I'm saying it should be uppercase. Save it, comes to your browser, refresh it. Now you are able to see your content, complete content in capital letter. Now I want to change this to a lowercase. So the value will be lowercase, and this facility we didn't add in our HTML. Come here and just refresh it. Now it will be lower. Now we have a capitalize, one more. What capitalize is going to do? It is going to make every word's first letter as a capital. So refresh. For welcome, the first letter is capital. For to, first letter is capital. ISMART and channel. Even if you give one letter, that only that first letter will be the capital. This is the thing what we do in the text formatting. That's called text transform. In the same way, you can give some background color to a text as well. So let me give some background color. So let's come here and I'm gonna say background color. So this time I'm gonna say I want h2 tag. For that I want some background color. The background color should be some maroon. Save it, comes to your browser, and you are able to see a background color. That's the one thing. Okay, now let's remove this. It doesn't look that cool. Now one more property we have called text decoration. Now you can use some text decorations to your text. Okay, so what text decorations you can give? Just come here and just say text decoration. Now I want to give some underline, so you can give underline. Save it. Now you are able to give underline. Now you want this underline should be dotted. Just tell dotted. Refresh it. Now you got dotted, right? Now you want that dot line to be in different colors. Just say lime green. Now just refresh. Now your color of that line will is in lime green. In the same way, not underline, you want overline, means above your text, overline. Now you got overline, right? If you say dashed, it will be in dashed. Now like this you can do so many things. And one more we have, like instead of overline, okay, in overline and instead of dashed we can say something like wave. Refresh and come here. Now you are able to see some waves. Now if you change from overline to underline, it will come to the underline as well. Just refresh. Yeah, now you are able to see underline as well. Now why we use this text transform is sometimes whenever you are going to use the link, that is nothing but anchor tag. By default it will be in blue color and it will be underlined. If you want to remove some text, okay, we have one more value called none. When you give none, by default anchor will have an underline. That underline will be removed. For example, I have something like here anchor, and I'm gonna say href equals to some hash, and I'm gonna say welcome, some link as a welcome. Now just see, by default this welcome have some stylings, right? So instead of this div I will copy and give outside of the div. Now you are able to see by default you are getting this underline. Now you wanted to remove this, right? So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to give a style equals to, we are going to say text transform none. Now it is going to remove that underline. I think it isn't removed. That doesn't remove text transform equals to none. Yeah, the none value, I think it is not working here. So let's do one thing. I'm gonna say this div, this anchor tag, right? So let me write here a, and I'm gonna say I want text, sorry, it's text decoration, not transform. Okay, so style equals to text decoration. Text decoration is equals to none. Yeah, fine. Now we remove the underline. So like the stylings we can do using the text formattings. So this is the one more thing we can do. So let's remove this one now, we don't require. Okay, now let's remove this as well. So this one thing is the text formatting. Okay, now we saw text align, color, decoration, background, text transform. What is text shadow? Now you can give some shadow to your text, right? Now you wanted to give some shadow to your text. So how can you give some shadow? So let's come to our code. I'm going to add one more property called text shadow. It's exactly like your box shadow. So text shadow, and I want to use some value like some 10 pixel, something like pink. Okay, save it and comes to your browser and refresh it. Now you are able to see some shadow, right? Now if you want to increase, just increase it to 30, save it and come here, refresh it. Now you are able to see some shadow, right? That because of your text shadow value. Or if you want to use some other value, you can try like black, so that it will look clearly. Now you are able to see some text shadow, right? Now this is called your text shadow. Apart from this text shadow, now by default, just see you have some space, right, between one word to the another word. Now this space is fixed, but you wanted to increase this space. So for that we have a property called word spacing. Word spacing. Now I want to give some 10 pixel space between each and every word. So come here and just refresh it. Now see the space between each word has been increased. In the same way, if you want to increase the space between each letter inside a word, for that we have a property called letter spacing, and I'm gonna say some 20 pixel. Come here. By default, we have this space between every letter inside a word. I'm gonna refresh. Now we have increased the space between each letter. Letter spacing, word spacing. Okay. Text shadow, text transform, these are the value. Background color, any color you can give. For text decoration we have none, underline, overline, and line through. Line through is nothing but it is going to scratch your that word. Okay, strike your word, like how we have a strike tag in HTML. In the same way, line through is going to strike that word. And we have navy, and we can give with the some stylings, like it should be dashed or it should be dotted, something like that. Okay, and we can give with any color. So that's the text decoration. And we can change the text of text color, right? It will be white, yellow, something. And text align, center, right, or left. By default it will be left. So this session is all about these things. We have understood what is margin, what is padding, and some text formatting in CSS. And this margin and padding is very important because it is going to confuse so much. That's why I have told it what is a reference, from which reference it is going to do. If you add padding, what is going to increase, how the width is going to increase. That thing you have to do, you have to analyze by doing some practical. Okay, that's all guys for this session. Thank you for watching my video guys.